Hey folks, it's Tuesday night and it's 9:30, so it's time to go behind the hedges. I'm here tonight with my good pal Mr. Ducati, and I am of course I am Mitch, and so tonight we're hoping to have a few folks on if they can make it. We're going to be talking about a topic that's going to be important moving forward, and that is name, image, and likeness. And in a grander scope of things, we're going to be talking about just in general sort of player compensation, right? So maybe we should just kick off with some name, image, and likeness stuff. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I thought I had it figured out. Turns out I don't. So here's what I dug up doing my homework for this show. Name, image, likeness. I believe I read that the NCAA, whoever it was, or a bunch of, I don't know, they voted that players could now benefit off of use of their name, their image, their likeness without repercussion. And I assumed once the news hit that the NCAA college football video game from EA Sports would be making a comeback, that would tie together and be like, oh, cool, okay, so there's this rule and there's this new game. They're going to start giving these guys a little, side money if they're used in this game. Apparently that's not happening. And so far you got Notre Dame, Tulane, and Northwestern saying, nah, we're not going to, you can't use our image and likeness unless you're going to pay our guys for their image and likeness. So it's murky to me now. If the rule is that they can, then why are they not?
So are you saying that Notre Dame and Tulane and what was the Northwestern?
Northwestern. So far, there may be more, but I haven't checked.
Is their participation in the video game dependent upon this, or are they just straight up out this time around?
They have said they are not going to allow use of their licensing in this game right now. I don't know if they're looking for clarity. I don't know if they're trying to get it changed to where EA will have to cut checks to kids whose name, image, and likeness is used. I didn't dig that far. But it was surprising to me because I just assumed once that rule was made, then all of a sudden this video game is announced. And the reason why the video game stopped in the first place is because of this issue. I don't remember. I think it was some schools out west. If you remember, I think 2014 is the last time EA put out the NCAA college football game.
Yeah, I think you're right. 2014.
Two players out. I may be wrong. There's two players. I read their name the other day. I can't recall. I think there was a lawsuit, and those two guys got paid because I think the use of them in that game was so obvious and egregious. And again, if I'm wrong on all of this, somebody come on and tell me I'm wrong. That's how I took the story. So EA was like, you know what? We're not going to open that can of worms. We just.
And so then that game is now laid dormant for 7 years or so.
Now the rule is that they can be compensated. If they took JT Daniels Christ and put him and recreated him in that game, and when you play Georgia, your quarterback is JT Daniels Christ. If he were to be paid by EA, there wouldn't be any trouble, as I understand the new rule. But EA is like, nah, we're just going to use it. Y'all are college students, so you deal with it. So Notre Dame is like, well, if you're going to do that to our guys, then I understand. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am on this. Notre Dame, Tulane, and Northwestern are not going to, at this time, allow EA to use their schools in the game. How I understand it.
Right. Now, from what I understand, the state of California and I think also the state of Florida went ahead. Maybe there's more, and maybe I'm wrong about Florida, but I'm certain about California. Went ahead and preemptively said our kids, any kid who comes to school, as an athlete in these states or whatever, will be able to benefit from, selling the rights to their name, image, likeness. I'm just going to call it NIL. And so I think that maybe that was the linchpin that sort of said, started it with the NCAA. If payers are going to be allowed to be paid in only a few states, then that's where they're going to go. And so that would throw the balance of things off or whatever. So we need to make it a blanket sort of rule for everybody. And I think that maybe that's why the NCAA decided to go ahead and sort of peel the top off of this can and see what they can get to. And I don't think
do you
they've got
feel
it all
about
hammered
nil
out.
personally?
Well, I think the question has to be, where does the money come from? For me, and this is a personal thing. I think that if the money comes from the pizza joint, like the local pizza establishment, like, let's just say, we had Rohan Gaines on here a couple weeks ago when we talked about Arkansas, and he went to Bainbridge High School where I was teaching. And we got some local pizza joints down there. I'm thinking specifically, there's one, Uncle Bill's. Shout out Uncle Bill's, free plug here. A good pizza joint there. But I can imagine a situation where Rohan is, he's graduated from high school where he was, a tremendous athlete, and he's, signed with Arkansas. Wouldn't it be cool to see him in a commercial for Uncle Bill's Pizza? Hey, y'all come on down and woo pig suey and all that, right? Like, that'd be a cool thing to see on the TV. I think if that situation were to occur, then of course there's going to be all kinds of sanctions and whatnot, right? But I think if that situation were to occur now, and Uncle Bill's, cuts him a check, I have absolutely no problem with that.
Me either. I'm all for nil.
I guess
your name, and if it's you and somebody else is making a chunk of change off you, you deserve a slice of that pie. I don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't necessarily think that makes you a professional yet. You can be an amateur as part of a sport that generates a whole lot of money, and you can put your face out there. And here's where it can get a little dicey, though. Not all markets are equal.
Yeah, no, that's very, very, very true.
It may become part of a pitch for some of the markets who are more equal than others, if you know what I'm saying. Hey, if you come here, you can get 3 pizza deals versus half a pizza deal over there. And pizza is now we're going through the show. Pizza deal basically means endorsement. If I can convince you to come to USC in Los Angeles, I believe the second largest sports market in the country, boy, if you want endorsements, I can load you up with those versus.
Yeah, there's a lot more pizza joints.
Arkansas is a good example. There's a whole lot going on out in Arkansas. No disrespect, but you can't compare those two markets.
Yeah, and Fayetteville is not LA. Fayetteville is not LA. It's never going to be LA, right? Fayetteville doesn't have as many pizza joints as LA, right? True. But also the other side of that is so not all endorsements are created equally, but also not all players are the same, right? So look how many Division I teams are here? How many FBS teams are there? 128. Just shy of 130 teams, right? Mm-hmm. And let's just say each of those teams has 85-ish scholarship players. We use 100 to make it a nice round number. So we're talking something like 12,800-ish players, right? Just shy of 13,000. Somewhere between 12,000 and 13,000 college football players who play in FBS football, right? Are all those players going to have the same opportunities to sell their NIL? No, the answer is no, right? Let me say this, and then
I don't want to paint a picture for the listeners. Go ahead.
I mean, there's only one Trevor Lawrence and there's only one Justin Fields, right? Those guys, and I'm using them as an example because they were the two, I guess, name brand premier. Throw in Devontae Smith too, why not, right? They were the name brand premier players of this past season. Could they cut a promo for a nationwide corporation or something like McDonald's or something like that, Coca-Cola? Could they? Yeah, why not? Ford, Chevy, yeah, sure, why not? Could the backup left tackle for University of Texas El Paso cut the same promo? No, no,
Even if
absolutely.
he's a scholarship player. And I'll take it a step further. Here's my picture. Forget El Paso. Let's stick with Clemson. Trevor, what you just talked about is basically what would amount to a national commercial, which I
Right.
dealt with briefly when I was out in LA trying to be an actor. And they're great. They're awesome. If you're trying to pay your bills, that's the way to do it. So let's say Trevor Lawrence makes a national commercial for McDonald's or Nike or whatever. We're talking about a snug in some cases 7 figures by the time it all shakes out.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
His left tackle on Clemson ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna make. Probably wouldn't even get the conversation. Certainly ain't gonna see the money.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence smiles at that left tackle's girlfriend wrong. That guy's already a little bit jealous. That tackle might say, you know what? When we play Georgia, I'm just probably just gonna have to let Nolan Smith get by a few times.
Right. Well, you make a good point there.
Now,
so
that is an extreme example.
Sure. Right.
And I don't think that would happen at a place playing at the level. It could happen elsewhere. It's not outside the realm of possibility that emotions get involved. The green-eyed monster,
right? Yep.
Could start
that's the question.
it might not be as extreme as, I'm gonna let my guy get beat up, but it could create a toxic locker room environment if you got the stars of college football making bank as kids, and the guys who are setting them up for success busting their ass the same way in practice, putting in just as much time, not getting ill. That could be a problem.
Well, let's illustrate another kind of example. You're talking about maybe the left tackle for Clemson doesn't command the star power that, say, Trevor Lawrence does. But what about if you have a player? Let's use Alabama last season as an example. You got Najee Harris, you got Mac Jones, you got Devontae Smith. Right? There's a 3-headed monster right there. Right? Now let's suppose that maybe Devontae has a really, really good game. He does something ridiculous, like, I don't know, catch 215 yards and a half.
Like a national championship
game? Okay, sure. I guess I was thinking of something ridiculous, but that's an actuality.
Ohio State might want to look at a coordinator. I don't know.
Let's just say he goes.
Justin Fields was the savior.
Let's say that Devontae goes for 215 and a half, right? And maybe Najee ends up the game with say 40 yards rushing. Suddenly, because of his performance, or because of maybe he got 40 yards rushing only on just maybe, I don't know, five or so carries. You know what I mean? He didn't get a lot of attempts. And then, the team decided that week for whatever reason to focus on Devontae, or vice versa. Maybe they didn't throw the ball to Devontae that much. Maybe they just decided to feed Najee, Suddenly you got this guy that's capable of putting up big and ridiculous numbers, not putting up the numbers, and suddenly the other guy looks more attractive. What makes me want to stick around in that environment when I know that I could go somewhere else, say Kentucky, right?
I think you see that more at Kentucky. And here's why. You and I know that at a place like Alabama, specifically, that's not going to happen. They're going to utilize all their weapons because they know what they're doing. But when you have the, like, Benny Snell might be a good example. At a place like Kentucky, where 1 week they're like, you know what, we know he's a beast, but we're going to cool him off. And we're going to get this. We are going to commit to the passing game for the next 3 games. And Benny Snell could have started just about anywhere.
Oh yeah, he was a stud.
The thought might be in his mind, you know what? I'm trying to make it to the league, and I need numbers and I need film. So it's to your point. I think I don't think something like that would happen at your Alabama or Clemson, because they know better. Or they should. Kirby didn't, but maybe he's learning. But at those mid-tier schools, what you just said could absolutely become a factor. Now it's, you know what, I'm a free agent just because I'm not getting my way, just because I'm not padding my numbers, just because I don't feel you doing for me what's best for me, which is to build my tape and fluff up my numbers so that the scouts are more inclined to buy me. Yeah, absolutely, I could see that happening if they were. And I think that would hurt this whole thing. The whole shebang, getting paid, whether it's nil, whether it's direct payments from the school, whether it's what some jackasses have said that the players need to unionize and get into collective bargaining to try and split TV money. All of it, if it were to come to pass, I think would help your upper tier programs and devastate middle tier and down. Your richer schools are going to find a way. Oh, we can pay now? Some of them, I ain't going to name no name. Some of them are going to be like, oh, we can come out of the closet now? Because we've been doing this shit for years. Auburn.
Oh, geez.
Those kind of schools might feast in this environment. Those Kentuckys and those Vanderbilts and those like Oregon State, those schools are gonna fall by the wayside because they can't compete with Texases and the USCs. They can't. The numbers aren't there. The numbers don't match.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of angles, and it's very fluid. It's very ambiguous. There's a lot of. You can't paint this subject with a wide brush and say they deserve it because they're being taken advantage of. No, not really. You also can't say no. They should just shut up and play. Not really. There's a lot of bees in this nest. It can all sting you. So, whichever side of the coin you fall on, I would on this topic as it moves forward, I would urge you to exercise some restraint and some wisdom and listen and see if there's not maybe a middle ground to be met here. And I think, my opinion is, the middle ground is what's down at the bottom of our screen. If it's a boy's name, his face, his image, and somebody's gonna make money off that, he needs a piece of that pie. If you want them to get direct payment for their play, you're saying that they're semi-professional. You nut up. You do it. You put up the money to start the NFL minor leagues.
Is college football the NFL minor leagues?
No, and I'll tell you why. Less than 7% of college football players actually go to the NFL. Of that 7%, less than 3% have meaningful, impactful, long careers. You are playing the lottery with your body. Now, if you think you're good enough, go on and get it. But you don't have to go that route. You can go to, when they hold tryouts, if you're some badass, I'm just going to say out of Texas, you are a phenom. You're a player no one's ever seen. You ain't got to go to college. It would behoove you to do so. Mm-hmm. It's an easier route. Nothing's easy, nothing's free, though, as we all know. You can go try out all day long. There have been rare cases where walk-ons get selected for an NFL.
Well, I want to bring somebody on the stream now, Matt, who might have some insight into a lot of these topics here. Everybody, say hello to Caleb. If you don't mind, Caleb, I want to do a brief introduction for you before you can say a little bit about yourself. First of all, how you doing, bro? How you feeling?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm feeling great. Finally getting over COVID, man. It's been a tough battle, but we got through.
Yeah, I knew that you had been a little bit under the Rona. I mean, under the weather. But chicken noodle soup and Gatorade and naps, and here you are, right?
Well, I'm a dog fan. I don't drink Gatorade. It was all Powerade, man.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. See, he needs to get endorsed right now just for that. I'm loving that hat, by the way. We need more. We need more red and black in the world.
Let me explain to you. First of all, Caleb, this is over here, Matt Ducati.
Work the right way, buddy.
And this here's Caleb down below, KTG13.
I have heard. Nice to meet you officially. That's awesome. I'm glad you came on. We're glad to have you, man.
Yeah, let me tell the people at home just who this cat is, right? So one day, yours truly is goofing off on the social media, and I get you know how it is on how Facebook recommends these videos for you, like hey, you seem to be interested in thing X. Well, here's a video about thing X, right? And as many of you may or may not be aware, I am interested in University of Georgia football, right? And so I get recommended this dude who's playing. It's NCAA. Is it 14? Are you playing 14?
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so anyway, this guy's playing college football on his PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So It's just everybody's seen these game streamers, Twitch artists and whatnot, and so I get a lot of recommendations like that, and I just saw this guy and he was playing as Georgia, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll give it a shot. So I hop on the guy's channel and I'm watching his video, and there he is, his little face is down there in the box, just like here, and he's playing the game, and I'm just kind of chilling in the channel. Well, yeah, next thing you know, there's he's got like a pile of folks in his stream. I don't know, 50 or 60 folks watching the game, and there's one dude in there, at least one guy in there who's a Florida State fan. And this guy's, talking about, Florida State, blah, 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 and Caleb says, he goes, I'm a Dog fan and I live in Georgia, but I'm surrounded by Florida State fans because I'm only about 45 minutes away from Tallahassee. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. So I used to live, I'm up in Pennsylvania now, and so is Matt, but, Matt's from Valdosta. You know what I mean? I'm from Bainbridge. So I said, or I tell people I'm from Bainbridge, that you know better. But I said, yeah, I used to live 45 minutes from Tallahassee. So I pipe up in the text or in the chat there, and I'm like, say, Caleb, where are you from, man? I used to live in Bainbridge. And he's like, oh, yeah. I tell people I'm from Bainbridge, but actually I'm from this little town up the road called Colquitt. And I said, oh, and so I typed in the chat there. I said, MCHS class of 97, go Pirates, and this dude's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He said, yeah, you graduated in 13, right?
10.
Okay. All right. So, he said, yeah, my mom and dad, if you graduated in 97, he said, my mom and dad graduated around that time too. And I was like, dude, who are your mom and dad? Because on his stream, it doesn't say Caleb, it says KTG. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, who's your mom and daddy? And he told me their first names, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, dude, tell your mom and daddy that you're talking to this guy, right? And I said, I guarantee you they'll know who I am, because Colquitt's a small place. You knew everybody 3 classes ahead of you and 3 classes behind you. Intimately related and all that. I'm surprised that Caleb's daddy didn't run there and tell him exactly how to get to my mama's house. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go there and turn by the cow field and all that. So yeah. Anyway, we're from the same place, so just randomly stumbled upon each other. And here's the thing, Caleb, man, I don't know if you know, I used to, we talked about radio. You did radio with GMK, and I did radio, and basically I did radio in the pre-Bradley Warren days. And then Bradley came on and made just an all-star career of the stuff. And then here you come in later and sort of pick up where he left off. Now, I think Bradley's actually he's the voice of the Blazers now, right? He's doing Valdosta State.
I believe so. I know he was for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, go Blazers and all that. Matt and I both went to VSU, and for one of my many trips through the college, I took the scenic route through college. I might even go back. Who knows?
Why not?
Might be that starting left tackle for Clemson we were talking about. So, but anyway, dude, I remember you, Caleb, being a little kid running around at the football games, at the baseball games. You know what I mean? Like I've never met you as a grown up, but I have seen you as that little, kid in diapers getting in trouble and that sort of stuff, So, man, it's good to meet you and good to know you. So, welcome aboard. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So obviously our conversation tonight is, we're talking about this name, image, likeness thing, and in general paying players. And we started off the stream. I don't know if you saw at the beginning, but we were talking about this new NCAA game that's coming out. What is it? Is it 21 or 22? The new game.
They said it was going to be either July 22 or 23, and most likely it was going to be July 2023 when we're going to see the game. Okay,
so still a little ways away, but we were hearing reports of schools like Notre Dame and Tulane and Northwestern, schools like that are deciding not to participate if their players cannot benefit financially from that. And so I'd like to get your perspective as a gamer, as somebody who name, image, likeness sort of like runs hand in hand with what you do. What are your thoughts on it, man? How do you feel about it, first of all?
Well, when you talk about it like that, EA has come out and said that the first game is not going to have any name and image or likeness. It's going to be a random roster.
That's what it
but,
is.
I mean, 2 years away, I believe that these players will probably get compensated by then, and I believe you'll see these teams that have opted out get back into it, especially Notre Dame, man. It's too big of a market.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. So maybe they're just waiting to see if there's some sort of litigation that comes down the pipe that's, allows them to benefit more from that. I really like to have Dargan on. Dargan's our resident lawyer. Maybe he could elucidate some of these ins and outs or whatever for us at some point. But okay, so good one. But as it stands now, like we said earlier, the state of California came out and said that any player who competed, college sports in their state would be able to benefit from compensation due to name, image, likeness without penalty from the NCAA. And so that sort of forced the NCAA's hand. Hey, you better do something about this, or everybody's moving to California. You know what I mean? So, so the NCAA said, all right, well, we're going to look into it. So where do you see these players being able to benefit, and to what degree do you see them? And I guess we all sort of agree that there won't be, it won't be equitable across the board. They're like, not all players are created equal, and not all teams are created equal, and not all endorsement deals are created equal. Right. So will this cause dissension in the locker room? Is there going to be, who's going to get mad about this? What's going on?
That's actually a really good question. Honestly, haven't thought much about it, but now that you mention it, that is something I'd actually like to think about, because there could be jealousy. There could be a lot of stuff go on with that. And wow, that's actually a really good question that I haven't thought about.
Young men, young boy, fresh out of high school, all them hormones, all them feelings, all that pride. Some of that pride might get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
When, boy, you came in with all of a sudden seeing a snug 6 figures, and here you are. You came in just as heralded, and you ain't seeing nothing. I mean, look at how many guys come out of high school highly ranked and turn into mediocre or worse.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do for your locker?
I don't know. I think that it's definitely going to play a factor. There will be a factor. There will be that locker room. We'll call it locker room factor. The locker room factor, based on how many pizza joints are, willing to put you on their commercials. And
on the game, let's talk about the game for a second. 2023, they come out and everything Caleb said happened. They go with image and likeness. They're going to compensate people. They're going to compensate these boys. And all them schools come back in. Now, I've played some of those games back in the day, and those games do simulate injuries,
mm-hmm.
which means you got to have backups.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to dig into each university's roster all the way down to the 3 deep and the 4 deep and cut or are they going to cut off? Basically, what I'm saying, are they going to do image and likeness for like you start in 22 and everybody else is kind of a nebulous, or are they going to go all the way back and say, no, we're going to do the whole team? And if they don't, if it's just the starting 22, what if that changes throughout the season in real time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want my money. And what about the backup guys who are out there busting their ass the same as the starters? Well, we're putting in the same kind of work.
Yeah,
I got just as much a chance of blowing my knee out in practice as the starting left tackle does. Why am I? And I'm supposed to be the backup in the game. Why aren't they paying me?
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? I think overall, big picture, the whole thing's a poor idea. Amateurism is amateurism. You're playing the lottery with your body. That's the way it's always been. It's that way for a reason, because money corrupts and all this and that. But at the same time, if I'm part of the starting 22 and I see my name and my face and my number and me on a damn game, and I know that game's going to draw millions and millions of dollars, I want a piece of that pie. There's no easy answer, guys. I don't get paid enough to come on this show and give you the word of God, because I don't have it. There's too many angles.
Oh boy.
Eating fellas.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. I think I got an update before we go any further.
Oh, yes, we do.
Big Cat Bryant's going to Central Florida. Tennessee just can't catch a damn break.
I know. Yeah, well.
So introductions are imminent here. Caleb,
I am the so-called super genius Wiley of the Very Orange live stream here on the Field of Streams broadcast network. My handle this evening is not necessarily as much as in support of paying the players, as just being fed up about it. I mean, it's a corrupt system to begin with. You got the majority of these kids are coming in from some sort of economic depression in some shape, form, or fashion. So I honestly, with as much money as these programs are pulling in, as much as these kids are putting their bodies willingly, granted, on the line for these schools, I think paying them something is not an absurd idea. I just the question, you know, it's a very slippery slope. You know, how much? What they're going to have to be some pretty heavy duty ground rules.
I'm not coming at you here.
Yeah.
In respect given.
Yeah.
Do you have hard evidence that you could present that the majority of college football players come from economic depression? I have never seen that. I know what you're saying, and I know in a lot of cases it's true. But you just said the majority. I would need to see that. If that's going to be a selling point, I need to see that data.
I should have chosen my words a little more carefully. Quite a good percentage. How about that? A not insignificant percentage. I'll correct.
Is that not also true for the rest of the student body? I mean,
true.
All of a sudden now the student, you know, damn. Let me real quick. I'm gonna do this real quick. I wanted to be an actor. I went to school for theater. Why weren't you paying me while I was chasing my dream? Why didn't you federally subsidize me as I was trying to create art for my community and my country? You see where this can go?
Was your theater a major revenue point for the school?
For the communications department, absolutely. Mitch,
actually, yeah, that was.
Yeah, we were big. I mean, we were accredited.
In fact, if you were to ask me what is Valdosta State good at, I'd say football and theater.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, we were in the same sentences with FSU and Georgia. We didn't have the resources or the size.
Yeah,
but we put out some. I mean, we've got an Academy. I mean, we've got Academy Award alumni. And
that's right. Trouble with the Curve, right?
No, he just worked. But I mean, Ray McKinnon won an Academy Award. And
short.
Well,
yeah.
So
short subject.
Yeah.
Athletics
from the trough. Why can't other parts of the school start? I mean,
it's a valid argument. I just there's so many extra elements that you're not seeing, like you said, with the licensing and the likenesses and the money being made off of all that. I mean, you don't see that in a theater program as you do in an athletic sport like football. It doesn't. I won't say it doesn't exist, but you don't see it. It's just not something that is highly visible as this.
They're both entertaining.
I think you have to. I think you have to give these kids something, and then just lay down some heavy duty ground rules about it. I mean, when they declare for the draft at the end of their junior year, the money that's when that season's over, they're done. No more money.
So, how would you address, Dren, the person who says the kids are getting paid, they're getting an education? What is your response to that? How do you feel about that?
Like it's another valid point, but as everything happens in society and life, things have evolved to a point where that still the cost of what the college is giving them for that education still pales in comparison to the millions and millions of dollars in revenue that they're pulling in from those players out on the football field or on the basketball court. I mean, let's think about this way. Who is Kirby's apparel deal with, shoe deal with? Nike?
That's a good question. I would bet it's Nike. What do you think, Caleb?
It's Nike.
Yeah.
And how much would you say that Nike pays Georgia every year, pays the football team every year?
I'm sure a pile. You know.
A pile.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Well, what about Oregon and their uniforms and all that? The same kind of.
and that's all Nike. Tennessee has been Adidas.
Mhm.
They had a huge deal with Adidas. But I mean, how much that money could you cut a check out of to give these kids as an extra stipend?
I'm going to quote this stat, and I know that it's probably not exactly right, but I read somewhere that if you added up all the revenue that's made during college football season, if you were to isolate that revenue, say from the first game 1, game 0, whatever you want to call it, all the way through the national championship, and all the hot dogs and seats sold, you know what I'm saying, and all the gas put in the buses and all that stuff. If you were to add up all the money made and spent on college football season in America, that total dollar amount would be like the 7th largest economy in the world. Like, we're talking about an economy the size of what's that?
It would bump California. I think California claimed they were the 7th.
Mhm.
And they may be right. They were the 7th largest in the world. That state, California.
I mean,
For college football, the entity would be that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about basically.
Who cares? That's my question.
The nation of
They're making
France.
a lot of money doesn't mean they're entitled to dole it out in any other way that they see fit.
No, but
Wall Street makes billions of dollars, could take care of every one of us from top to bottom, cradle to grave. They're not gonna. They don't have to.
right. But I'm not suggesting that college football, as an entity, if that is even a thing, should be the one handing this money back to its players. But these players are put on a stage. They are visible, right? And so all I'm saying is that maybe their ability to benefit financially from being on that stage shouldn't necessarily keep them away from amateur status. You know what I mean? Like if they get the pizza deal is what I'm trying to say.
No. NIL, if they get it from the NIL, and you guys joined us later, NIL is the short for name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
That's you. You are entitled to the sweat of your own brow. If Mellow Mushroom Pizza decides to put JT Daniels Christ in their commercial, yes, he should get a piece of that pie. 100%. I don't want to hear no debate. But if you're talking about cutting a direct check for your services to play football at the University of Georgia, you can get the hell out of my face, because then you nut up. You do it. You put up the money and start the real minor leagues. I'm not interested in the NFL light. I'm not interested in the NFL. I'm interested in college football. You're a student, athlete. Student first, athlete second.
So, but would
That's
you
the way it is.
would you object, like what I said, a cut of it, like the apparel deals? The apparel deals are millions and millions of dollars. Would you object to a cut of that? And we're talking millions just for football. Would you object to a cut of that being used as a stipend, extra stipend for players? I'm calling it a stipend as opposed to a payment.
I think that's just the pizza deal on a grander scale.
Yeah,
If the player is used,
but it won't, and that realistically shouldn't impact the bottom line at colleges who are already operating at a deficit anyway.
By and large, that is
Because it's going to be funded straight up. I think that's the most obvious revenue source right there.
but that's an endorsement.
And with the exception of the University of Oregon, it could be seen as being without donor strings.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Endorsements. Ties into the name, image, and likeness. If they're being used, they should get a piece of that pie because that's them. But hey, come play for Texas and we'll give you X amount of dollars, which Texas can do to anybody they want at any time. I think they're the third wealthiest university, third or fourth. How is Oregon State going to compete with that? How is Iowa going to compete with that? If you turn this into the minor leagues, I'm telling you right now, you're opening a can of worms you're not going to be able to close. All of a sudden, the teams that already don't get a fair shake, you think they're going to get a fair shake once it becomes a free market? You're out of your mind. Texas, Ohio State, you can throw Georgia, all the big schools will be like, okay. And some of y'all are going to come out of the closet because some of you some bitches have been doing this already. And you know who you are.
E-I-E-I-O.
Man. And I got one. The loudest fans who say, pay them. I have to wonder if it's just y'all ain't really wanting them to get paid. You just want to keep doing what you're doing without getting in trouble.
We shouldn't talk too loud. We don't want to get Tennessee in trouble.
I mean, I'm not shooting bullets at Tennessee. Tennessee hasn't really come under fire for. Have they improper benefit? I mean, have y'all had a problem with that?
No, God, no. Yeah. No, I mean, those kids deserved a break today. What are you telling me?
I noticed our Auburn and Florida boys in on tonight. They must want to lay low.
All right.
I was kind of hoping Dargan would weigh in with an actual somewhat knowledgeable legal opinion. It's not necessarily his area of expertise, but I mean,
yeah, but he has.
He probably could have found some case law. Looked at Westlaw for us and pulled up some stuff.
I'd like to hear from Rohan too. You know, he's played the game. He didn't, he was on all the highlight reels and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to
touch on this with Caleb real quick. We'll touch on this with Dren because I don't think we've broached this subject. What do you think the potential is for locker room toxicity? This kind of thing going on, because this ain't the Constitution, brother. Not all players are created equal. Not all deals. Are we talking about it or overly meritorious meritocracy? Is basically what we're talking about here. If I'm busting my ass, and there's also the argument $2.5 million, and I'm doing nothing.
There's also I cannot remember the term from Psych 101. Dr. Alan Marks, please forgive me, but there's something to be said about about incentivization as far as, supposedly when you're in high school and college, you're playing for the pure love of the game, but once you turn pro, and start making money, actually getting paid for it, the incentive changes. So in that, and so for a kid, like, well, the best example I can think of coming out of the Knoxville area is a kid like T. Higgins.
Okay.
T. Higgins was a 5-star player from Oak Ridge High School.
Mm-hmm.
Was gonna go to Tennessee. Everybody knew he was going to go to Tennessee, but made a good decision for him to get out. I mean, he only went 3 hours away. Mm-hmm. down the road to Clemson, but still and this is the kid who's, has a good family, but didn't necessarily have the easiest life either.
Mm-hmm.
I look at kids like that who've had those struggles. Would this benefit them? I don't, and I don't know what the answer is, but like I said, I'm just kind of fed up about it. Either fish or cut, piss or get off. Mm. We got to decide. We got to make a decision one way or the other. Whether or not we pay them now, or if their NIL gets used in a game, they get paid late. They get paid later on down the line after they graduate. I mean, there's got to be some kind of compromise there.
So what do you think about? I alluded to this in a conversation that Matt and I were having earlier. What about the kid who's getting recruited? Let's use T. Higgins, for example, or a player like that. Suppose you got a receiver who's a really hot target, and every team wants him, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. And so Bama goes and makes him an offer, but it turns out Bama's already got, another receiver, actually a crop of receivers. And so you're going to ask this kid who is, a legitimate BA receiver to come and, serve in heaven, so to speak, when he could just go to Kansas State and reign in hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I am the big man on campus at Kansas State, then who gives a shit about whether we're winning or not?
Yeah.
I'm the big man. I'm getting paid, So is this kind of thing going to allow for sort of the recruiting hierarchy, or I guess the stockpiling of top talent within a handful of teams? Are you going to see more teams be able to make a grab for those top talented players?
In other words, come to Kansas State, I'll get you 3 shoe deals. You probably won't even get one in Tuscaloosa because the other guys already have one.
Yeah.
There's not enough seats at the table. You come here to the small school and ball out.
Pizza joints in Tuscaloosa.
You come here, you come to Ames, Iowa, and ball out, and we got pizza joints everywhere if it fetch you a check. Go to Tuscaloosa, you might not even crack the twos. You ain't gonna get shit. All like I said, there's a lot of bees in this nest. They'll all sting you as we continue on this conversation.
Yeah,
folks, we're not gonna answer this tonight. We're probably gonna raise more questions than we do and get answered. There's no wide brush. There's too many things to think about.
Well, fellas, I had to get up and teach class in the morning, but Ducati, thank you for keeping me honest. I appreciate that. No, seriously, that was you called me on it, and you should have, and so I
appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it. But guys,
I'm here for the honesty.
Like Matt, hey, look. I mean, during the football season, I'll have the bluster and the swag and the BS flowing. But when you pin me down to it, I'm just gonna be like, this is it. Okay, this is what it is. As far as I'm concerned. But I just because it's at some point you just I can't live with myself if I'm not going to be honest about it.
Well, and that's the thing. Now you have credibility. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. You're honest like this, and you're not I'm a homer. You're a homer. We're all homers. But if you can't be honest, credibility goes down the drain.
I love my boys. I'm a ride or die. So, I'll paraphrase a famous beloved Georgia fan. I'm Vol born and Vol bred, and by God, and when I die, I'll be by God Vol dead.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, fellas, hang in there. Talk to you later.
Enjoy your stay.
Thanks for coming on.
Enjoy your stay on Rocky Top.
I feel like Caleb's been real quiet.
I'm always quiet, man. I'm letting y'all do y'all's thing. I'm enjoying the show though, man. This is really fun, honestly.
Yeah. So before we get out of here,
we're not beating a dead horse, but we're getting to where we're about to start kicking the hoof. So since we have this rare, beautiful moment where it's all red and black attack, we got about what we say we're gonna do 30 minutes, but it's always usually 55 an hour. Let's just give ourselves 5 more minutes. Talk some Jordan. Because at this point, most people have probably signed off anyway, although they shouldn't have. And before you did, you should have hit that subscribe button. Don't make me come find your ass.
True enough. Actually, I want before we talk pure Georgia, I want to talk Caleb for a second. So you are owed some congratulations, sir.
What happened?
Recently hit, and it helped me out here because I haven't been able to follow it as religiously as I have. You recently hit 2K, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I'm at about 2.2K now. So,
sir, what's your platform? You on Twitch? What are you doing?
I'm on Facebook Gaming.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Yeah. And so how does that work? What anybody who was interested in doing that, what would they need to do?
So, what I have to set up the stream is you have to get a capture card. I have the Elgato HD 60s Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It probably cost me around $200 at Best Buy. I have a PC. You can do it from a laptop, or if you have PS4 or Xbox One or the new consoles, you can do it straight from the console. But running the NCAA, I have to have a PS3, so you can't do that straight from the PS3 console. And basically get you a little webcam like I have right here and flip the switch and start playing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. And so you've managed to scratch up 2,200-ish subscribers. And
yeah, man, it's been crazy. I've gotten over 1,100 just this month alone. I started as a Madden creator actually, and worked my way on PS4 in the top 50. I think the highest I got ranked was like number 42 in Madden, and Madden just got old to me. And I saw a buddy of mine actually. His name's Jay Clay. I think he's the number 2 streamer on Facebook for NCAA. He's like right at 12K, so he's way bigger than me. But me and him has become buddies. We just joined a league together, and I saw him play, and I was like, "Wow, they still play NCAA." So I still have my copy from back in the day, luckily, because that game is expensive. I looked it up, modded it out, turned on the camera, and it's been a blessing, really.
So how long you been streaming for?
I started streaming in September. I started streaming in NCAA about mid-January.
So you started streaming during the pandemic?
Yeah, basically a little after it really was shut down. I started. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's basically where this came from. This whole thing, this field of streams idea was like, here we are. We're all sitting at home. We're on lockdown and whatnot. We're all spread out over the country. We love college football. We weren't even sure if the 2020 season was even going to happen at some point. And it turned out to happen to a certain degree. Was it the best season in the world? No, not at all. There will always be an asterisk about this season, right? But it was better than just staring at the walls for another year. You know what I mean? And so here we are all sitting around in our houses, basically, and we decided, man, nobody's making TV. Nobody's making sports. We're tired of watching the same old regurgitated stuff. And so we decided, why depend on somebody else to entertain me when we can entertain ourselves? And shout out to Uncle Lou, man. Shout out to Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou got us through some really, really dark times, And
you know who Uncle Lou is, Caleb? You seen him?
I do. I've talked to him a few times, man. He's
I wish he could get his ugly ass on this show.
I can talk to him, man. I do. I actually have his phone number, so he's a mess, man.
I've called into his show. Mitch has been on his stream when they played chess together. So I mean, there would be some light, once upon a time familiarity. I mean,
I might even call the old boy tonight and tell him that we talked about him on our stream. Caleb was in there the other night. He always does that stream of the worst playoffs. He uses a 2014 EA Sports thing, and he'll let the comment section pick the 4 worst teams, and then they'll have a playoff. And the way you advance is you lose, right? And so who wound up losing was it Syracuse?
Yeah, Syracuse lost.
Syracuse is the worst. They lost to Vanderbilt in the championship game, right?
All right, hold on. I gotta hear some UGA talk before I go on, because I'm itching for it now. Got all these team capsules and looked at all these graphs and talked about paying players. Now we got another Georgia guy on. I want to hear some Georgia talk.
Tell Matt who you had in your stream the other day.
Kendall Milton's dad, Chris. He was talking it up.
That dude is a monster.
I had actually won the Heisman with him in my season I was running. I won the Heisman with Kendall Milton, went on to win the national championship, and he was like, man, I got to tell Kendall about you. Maybe he'll jump in the stream. I'd probably have a heart attack if he did, but Kendall's dad, Chris, he actually ended up following, so maybe we'll see him again soon.
You got a lot of traffic off of that too, right? Like that guy.
Big time, man. Actually, Cato Nelson, y'all probably don't know who that is, but he's Akron University starting quarterback. He comes in there and talks a lot too. So I've ran some Akron games, and I've talked to Dare Rosenthal, offensive tackle for LSU.
Okay.
We've had a few throughout the community, so it's pretty cool. Hopefully, we'll get Kendall in there though, man. That would be awesome.
I'm hoping that happens, man. I hope that happens for you. That is awesome. There's no other word for it. Let me ask you this though. That's a question for both of you. What's your biggest concern coming into this next season? From a personnel standpoint, there's the obvious answer, and that might be your answer. There's the glaring rock of, oh God, we got to do something with this, and you know what it is. And if that's your answer, that's your answer. But is there something else you see? Because I see something else.
Well, I obviously am going to go with the defensive backfield. I mean, that's everybody's worry right now. But honestly, if that's the bad spot of our team, I think we're going to be okay because you look at the defensive backfield, they're going to get better through spring just having to guard our receiving core because we have a really good receiving core. And I look for our defensive line to be super nasty. So I don't think the defensive back is going to be as flawed as maybe we think so, because I do think the defensive line is going to cause some havoc, as Kirby likes to say.
Well, I don't know if I'm willing to say that they're going to be flawed or poor or anything like that. I think that we have some talented guys. I mean, that goes without saying, right? I mean, Keely Ringo, Latavius Brini, those cats, they're not trash. They're just untested. You know what I mean? They haven't had an opportunity, and you don't just lose experience like Mark Webb and Stokes and some of these other guys. You know what I mean? You don't just lose guys like that and just instantly replace them. I mean, or maybe you do. Maybe we are at that point. I don't know yet. We'll see. But if I can't answer the question by saying the defensive backfield, then I would say that I have a concern, and I don't know if I'm willing to say it's a weakness or anything, but it is. I need a box to be checked, and that is the offensive line cohesion. All right, I need to make sure that offensive line is doing its job. You know what I'm saying?
My concern. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you something right now. Against Cincinnati, Matt Luke's got a job to do. Matt Luke's got some work to put in because this hodgepodge musical chair shit's got to stop. And if you watched against Cincinnati, and we're going to face – and they're good. Don't get me wrong. I'm giving credit to Cincinnati. I'm not saying we're bad. I'm saying Cincinnati's pretty good. But we're going to be facing on day one a team that's a whole lot better up front. And left tackle for Georgia was doing his best Blade Runner impersonation because he was washed away like tears in the rain.
Tears in the rain.
I agree. I agree with that. He did not have a good game.
And get some work in with the offensive line. It's there. We got the depth. We got the talent. I need Matt Luke to prove his quality.
Well, here's another thing.
If they march out there with the same production against Cincinnati they did. Let me rephrase. If they march out there against Clemson and put out the same production they did against Cincinnati, dude, Brisset and Murphy and company are going to eat JT Daniels' lunch, and that might result in an injury. Now we're in bad shape.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you this. I think it's worth saying. What was it? Trey Hill, Ben Cleveland. Was there another lineman that sat out the bowl game, or were those the only two? I think that was the only two, right?
Those were the only two offensive linemen.
And then, so that means you have three guys who are regulars, and I think that they were those three guys. Did they even play the same position? Did we move guys around?
They were moved around. That's why I said the musical chairs has got to stop. So, now spring will help with this because we didn't have a spring last year.
Yeah,
so we were half a team with half of season. We didn't have a spring. Mm-hmm. Still only caught 2 L's.
Yeah.
So another thing I want to bring up is Mr. Arian Smith. If we go 0-11, but Arian Smith catches every pass, we're moving in the right direction. And what I'm saying, I'm being hyperbolic. If they don't get him involved heavily in the offense, we're going to start asking some coach questions. Mm-hmm. Eric Stokes was interviewed today and talking about him and what he was doing and about his fellow players at Georgia. And he took a moment to stop and talk about Arian Smith when he showed up as an 18-year-old kid. He was like, so we went out there and, they hyped the ball and I'm like, I'm fitting to teach this kid a lesson. And then I was like, oh, shit. He's making me run. No, wait, he's making me run for real. For real. I have to put in the kind of work I put in with the ones against this kid out of high school.
Yeah.
That's world-class speed, brother. That's like Matt Bowling speed. I believe Arian Smith was on a relay team for the I don't remember what it was for.
It was a junior national team.
Yeah, and it's so apparent that the few flashes we saw of him, the announcers on national television were like, "Oh, who's that guy?"
Yeah, I remember that. Was it the second touchdown he caught?
Sprinkle him in to what we've already got with Pickens and Burton and a blossoming Darnell Washington.
Darnell the toddler Washington.
What you gonna do? Like, what you gonna do? Assuming the offensive line can keep JT Daniels on his feet.
Yeah. And and don't forget Dominic Blaylock is
He's back.
Yeah, there's a lot of dudes. We're going to have trouble finding enough balls to go around to all these dudes, and that kind of brings up my next point. Is I want to see us score points. I just want to see us score a bunch of points.
Before we head, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do then. Quick fire round before we sign off. Gentlemen, give me your points per game you want to see, yards per game you want to see, and how you want to see those yards distributed.
I'm going to need us to offensively. I need us to score at least 42 a game. I'll set that as my minimum. I need 42 a game. And if you give me 35 one week, you better give me 49 the next. You know what I mean? Like it's got to average out in the wash. And I think we can hold teams to 20 or fewer points. I think if we did that, that'd be okay.
Total yards
offensively. I'd like to see JT in the 350 plus range, somewhere between 350 and 400 would be great. And I'd like to see us run for, I don't know, maybe 250, something like that. If we can put up 600 total yards of offense,
okay,
I'd be good with that.
Caleb, what you got?
I'm about on the same page with Mitch up there, man. And I like the sound of everything he said. It's actually got me super pumped. If we put out that kind of offensive production, we're winning it all, no doubt.
I don't see why we couldn't. I mean,
yeah, I don't either.
Seems perfectly reasonable to score 40 points a game. I
did not foresee much variance in this. So, I mean, I'm with you. I want, I'd like 45 a game points. I'd like to see about 550 all-purpose yards. Go ahead, though, and give me that running game. I don't want to become Mike Leach. Go ahead and let 350 for JT and those receivers and get that early, though. I want to see like, stabbed to the eyeballs early. I don't want to be like coming back and letting people hang in there. I want the game to be over by halftime, which I know is a tall order, but that's how I grew up. I grew up in Valdosta in the 80s and 90s when the Valdosta Wildcat. Well, dude, the game's over. Halftime, we were going to the hot dog stand. It's over. That's what I want to see because we had dominated so thoroughly in the first two quarters.
I think the next year,
as that third quarter gets to the middle point, that's when your boy Kendall and Zeus, that crowd comes and is like, "Hey, y'all tired? We ain't."
I told you my favorite player is Dejon Edwards because when he we don't want he's just
wealth of risk,
So I want to see Dejon because he's sort of like it's sort of taking a knee before you take a knee because when that dude comes in, he's Trevor Hoffman. You know what I mean? He's the closer. He's going to shut it down. So I wouldn't mind seeing us go ahead and drop the majority of our passing yards early in the games, and then maybe finish up with the rushing yards. If we go to halftime and I see that we're out rushing our passing game at halftime, I don't like it. I don't feel good about that. You know what I mean? I'd rather just get on the team, Oklahoma style, Lincoln Riley style, just get on them. You know what I mean? And just start punishing them, and then let that defense just sort of just gradually just boa constrictor them to death. So 42 to 14, 42 to 20, something like that. All the way down the schedule. Yeah, I'm golden with that.
Except Florida. I want to put 100 on Florida.
Oh yeah. I honestly despise Vanderbilt now too, just because how they did this last year. I hope we drop about 70 on them bombs.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, I'm on board with this train. They were scared. Just say you scared, show up and get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
That's okay. Now, because then I have respect for you. Now I have no respect for it. Everybody was dealing with COVID, but you had to deal with COVID. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, no, I'm with Caleb on that one. Let's just, hey, here's a message.
Caleb, I got one more question for you. Before we get out of here, if you divided the SEC East into 3 tiers, and in the top tier you put Georgia and Florida, and in the second tier you put Kentucky and Missouri, and in the third tier you put South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. Those are 3 teams that combined for what? 5 wins last year.
Something like that. Yeah.
Going into 2021, which of those, and they also have new coaches, by the way, they've all replaced their coaches. Which of those 3 teams finishes the first out of that group?
Of the tier 3?
Of the tier 3. Who wins tier 3 in the East? South Carolina, Tennessee, or Vanderbilt? And
that's a tougher question than who's going to win the Natty. You can pretty much bet it's going to be one of 5 teams.
Just because I know there's a lot of Tennessee guys on this network, I'm picking the Cox.
Dude, you're going to fit in nicely. And the follow-up question is can any one of those 3 teams or more than one of those 3 teams get bowl eligible?
Oh, he wants to say it. Just say it.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Coming next week, we're going to get our bets on, baby. Oh man! All right, so we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming next Tuesday. Go back to our team capsules, and since you're the guest of honor, Kayla, why don't you tell the fans here who we're going to be previewing next? Which SEC team? Who do you want to see?
Who do I want to see? Have y'all done Florida yet?
Oh, not yet.
I want to see Florida. I want to see Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see Florida, man.
Hopefully we can get everybody's favorite Florida tiki doll to come out from under his swamp rock.
By the way, I got to be fair. I was told tonight is his anniversary, and so he had to go do the husbandly thing. But Ethan and Ashley are doing a Florida live stream this weekend. They're going to talk about the Gators, whatever. Friday or Saturday, I think he says when they're going to do it. So stay tuned for that.
I'll give you a sneak preview of what I'll say. I mean, they're going to take a step back.
I think Oklahoma already gave us that sneak preview.
They're not going to be trash. Like, I mean, as entertaining as I can be, and as much as I hate Florida, as much they're probably expecting me to just dump all over them, they're going to take a step back. I think Georgia's going to beat the living piss out. I think they're going to lose multiple games, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the tries for this Tennessee. I think they'll be number 2. They'll be number 2 in the East, comfortably. I don't see them falling off a cliff, but I do see them, sitting down.
I think Missouri.
Because Kyle Trask, no matter how much, my problem's not with Florida anymore. It's with Dan Mullen. That's a clown.
Yeah,
he needs to be taken out. He needs a beating. Dan Mullen needs a beating. The Florida Gators. Last season, that offense was prolific. I mean, in some cases, you could almost separate yourself from your hatred and say, these boys are good.
Mm-hmm.
This is fun to watch as a football fan. They're not going to have those tools anymore. And Emory Jones, sorry, that ain't the answer. So I think they take a step back. But I'm not ready to drop the Macho Man elbow yet. I might give them – I might give them that Tito Santana flying forearm, but I'm not ready to come off the top rope on Florida just yet, unless we get some preseason.
I am. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am. Well, I got a lot of Florida fans that jump in my stream and try to get under my skin. I just let them know straight up they ain't finishing second either. I'm taking Mizzou. Honest to God, I'm taking Mizzou.
Snap!
That's a hot take, man. You don't want me on the Gator show next week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna say this. Why don't you come on?
All right, but you better be ready because Florida fans are going to try to burn all 3 of our houses down because I don't like them.
I got your back. If Florida that uniform looks like they walked through a Sherman-Williams store and tripped over a shelf. You got the ugliest colors in the history of the known universe. You gonna try to talk about anything? Fuck out my face. Kids are in bed. It's after 10 o'clock. It's R-rated after 10 o'clock. Me and you show up next week. Dude, this is going to be like the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs. Somebody's going down. The cage match is fitting to happen. Ethan and Ashley, if you got the nuts, you show up next week or you get out of town.
Okay, I like this show.
Just cut and shoot promos over and over.
I like this show.
Woo!
Hey boys, listen, it's an hour and 10 minutes in. This has been super duper fun. Thanks for coming on, Caleb. First of all, hey,
man.
where can
Nice
these
to meet
people? Where can these people watch you play video games?
Go to facebook.com. My name is KTG13TV. KTG stands for Caleb the Great.
Heard
me
that.
There's KTG
13
TV.
a space and then TV.
So go on Facebook. There's your boy's channel.
Fantastic.
Search him up and give him a follow there. You know. So let me ask you real quick. What is the are you monetized yet on Facebook?
Yeah, actually I am, but for right now I don't have anything because due to a copyright strike. So unfortunately right now I don't have stars or supporters, but that should be back here in the next few weeks.
Okay. And so but people can they can't help you. Have ways on your channel that you tell people they can benefit the channel by Cash App, Venmo, that kind of stuff, right? PayPal, whatever.
Yeah.
So hopefully folks will take advantage of that. Send your boy $1, you know, every little bit helps.
Yeah,
All right.
I've actually done pretty well on Cash App. Field of Streams even gave me a little bit, so I really appreciated that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we love having you a part of us. We'll benefit you in any way if you do the same. Do the same for us. We just love to talk dogs, you know. Anywho, well, boys, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it in for the evening. Again, it's been super fun. We will catch you guys next Tuesday, 9:30, and we're going to be talking about those damn dirty lizards.
I'll be here.
I got a partner.
Jeez, I might let you boys just run the show.
No. You need to ground us. You know what'll happen if it's all me. Or we'll get in Facebook jail and every other kind of jail. Cancel culture will invade this show if you let me run. This is my handler, and I need.
All right, boys. Well, it's been real. I want to play this. Should I play this thing? I want to play this thing.
It's kind of dope. It's kind of dope. I got to get mine set up too. It's kind of dope.
Where's Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's do this one more time on the way out. Huh? What you think about that, boys? What you think about that?
Putting in that work. Yeah, man.
Nice. Yeah, man. I've been doing little things. Anyhow, y'all be easy. Let's do this.
Y'all have a good night. I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right,
and
later on.
Viewers, make sure you hit next week. If we get the stars aligned and all present parties are present, boy, you won't want to miss that one. You don't want to miss that
here.
one.
Count me in. I'll be here.
It's gonna be the steel cage. I'm coming for you.
Later on, boys.
See y'all.